Good morning, you guys. So I am starting my day off here in the storage because now that we've got the engine bay painted, it's time to step into the engine part of the build. And I'm here in the storage because I'm going to be picking an engine out of my lineup. If you guys have seen the video of my storage, we got quite a lot of things in here, right? Also, I got some things from the house to store away in here that we're not going to be needing for a while, but it's kind of dark, so I'm going to go ahead and scramble a little bit here and get to the engine that we're going to be taking home today, and then we'll talk about it. So I got the engines pulled out, and these are 2 block and 2 cylinder heads. So the one that I'm going to be taking is this head right here off of this block. This is the one we got from the junkyard. I'm going to throw it in the car, take this head, swap it over. I'm going to take this block, throw that in the car. With the power of editing, this is going to go into the car in 3, 2, 1. Boom. We got the block and cylinder head ready to go home. So right now I just got everything reorganized. I'm going down in my inventory here. So I was going to do a B20 VTEC, but this one right here, I don't have all my tools to do new rings. This one is smoking and the rings need to be replaced. This was the good old faithful, my all-wheel drive CRX, made 315 horsepower. That's a spare motor. This is a spare block, and this cylinder head has a broken valve guide. So before I get out and out of here, I gotta get a shift linkage for the car, and this would be a good candidate for that joint that was sent in to the PO box. This one right here is innovative. We're gonna take that. The other end already has an energy bushing on it, but I am going to compare it to the Hassport to make sure it is the right length. So this is the same length as that one right there, and I'm going to be taking the seat as well too, because I feel like I want to get some money back from the car by selling a DB2 seat, and I'm going to take those out. This is for the car year specific. It does have the rails on it, so it should bolt right on. But first I want to take it home and obviously repair all this before we throw it inside the car. Legit, I found a passenger axle from the DA. This came off of Ricky's car, and Ricky already had his own axles, so I found one. I just got to go to the junkyard. Now I just got to find the other one. I might even hit the junkyard today. I mean, for something else, but I might even hit the junkyard today. I'm not sure. Oh, I am an idiot. Almost forgot. I need the intake manifold too. Ugh. That is messy. That is messy. Okay guys, so limited supplies for cleaning the engine. I bought a can of oven cleaner the other day, and I was trying to dig for it, couldn't find it. So I ended up finding my mom's freaking awesome spray from the dollar store, and I used that, but we ran out. I didn't have too much of that. So I just used some purple power, went back to my good old toothbrush, pressure washer and got this looking a lot better than when we first picked it up. I'm not worried about the cylinder head because this is going to go to the machine shop tomorrow, and I'm going to do new valve seals and resurface the head. I'm going to pull everything off the cylinder head because I'm sending it in super bare. I'm not cleaning this because like I said, I don't have any more cleaning detergent, but I need to clean this manifold as well. So this is a B16A2 head, guys. If you guys remember, we picked this up from the junkyard for $100. It was $99 plus core plus fees and all that stuff. It was like $150. I brought a core back in because I had a bunch of ceiling cam heads, so technically I paid like a little over $100, right? Core was $30. This block I've had for like over a year. Sorry the sun is glaring, but I've had this block for over a year. It's a JDM B18B LS, and I kept this because I was going to do a high compression build, and that kind of never happened, so I just kind of had it sitting around for a while. Now when I saw this in the junkyard, it was from an automatic Integra, like 94, 95, and I had noticed it was a JDM block. It had the stamper here as well too, void if removed. So this was a replacement engine. I mean, the cylinders look really good. You can kind of still see the crosshatch, and I bought this because it's a JDM LS. You don't often come across a JDM LS. What we're going to be doing here today in this video, obviously we're going to talk about the engine. I don't really do a lot of ceiling cams. I don't really like touching H's. K's is kind of out of my pocket right now since I don't have any more inventory of K's, but I do have a gang of B series, and granted I do have the complete B16, complete Type R, complete GSR. I wanted to keep those complete like Honda factory engines, so I opt for an LS VTEC instead because I already got the head, I already got the block, and I already have everything else to put it together, like head studs, head gasket, all that jazz. So that's what we're going to be putting into the car. It's an LS VTEC. I originally wanted to do a B20 VTEC, but that means I would have to go buy another block or find another block. The B20 VTEC in my storage has smoked rings, so I guess between everything that I had, this was my best option. That block, when I got it from the junkyard, I was talking to Nomis Industries about how can I determine a block is bad. I pulled a pan off. I thought I seen some metal shaving. It was like 1 or 2 speck, but no metallic. So in the junkyard, upside down, I had pulled the rod cap off to check the bearings, and the bearings didn't seem like it wore down or something. So the caps for the rods are not on the piston, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be swapping out the rod bearings. A couple days ago I got the rod bearings in right here, and that's all we're going to be changing. I'm not changing the main bearings because nothing leads me to believe that it's bad. It did rotate freely before I took it apart, so like I said, all I'm going to do is the rod bearings. I did go to O'Reilly's earlier, got me some green plastic gauge so I can plastic gauge it to spec. Flip this thing upside down. Hopefully there ain't no freaking fluids in it. I mean, the only thing that's in here is water because I sprayed it earlier. There has to be no oil because it came from the junkyard. Most of the time they drain it. Okay, that's just dirty ass water. Oh shit, that's poop. Not bad, not a lot. Now I took this off once before in the junkyard. All this water, all this mixture down here, it's just the water that went into the block and down the pan. Oops, I didn't take this off yet. So I got all the bolts in this little container with some purple power. I'm probably gonna throw like a Scotch-Brite or something in it. Close the lid, shake it around, clean it up a little bit, whatever. But when I was in the junkyard, underneath the car, I'm looking up from the crank. 1, 2, 1, 2. I think I took out this rod. One time my buddy said, don't be a bitch, just put the gun on it and shoot it because you're reversing and not tightening. Yeah, see, that was already loose. That's definitely the one I took out. Oh, well, I mean, they're all freaking loose. Okay. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. It's nice to know the crank moves nice and free. It was a little stuck earlier, but that's because this block was sitting in storage for quite some times. And why are you being so stubborn? All right. Well, that looks really good. Really good. So this is numero dos, right? Now you can't mess these up unless you install it completely wrong. Tangs are on the exhaust side, right? But I'm putting them in order. So this is going to be 2, 1, 3, 4. Got a cardboard. I keep these right here from like buying head gaskets at O'Reilly's and stuff. I use this cardboard for a lot of things. One, for stuff like this, I can write it on the cardboard, let me know what came from where. I use this also to like block a corner. If I'm trying to paint a section, I use the block and then I can spray the area that I need to target. it's nice to have these cardboards around. But yeah, so that is cylinder 2. I'm about to take out cylinder 3, and it's very important to get these pistons at bottom dead, right, which is bottom, which the bottom is upside down, and you know what I mean. Gotta get these rods pointing up so it's not a bitch to try to get them when they're down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take all these off real quick. Before I get to the other two, I gotta push the piston down and get the rods out of the way of the crank. What I'm trying to do is be very careful of this and not push the piston out of the cylinder, because I don't have the piston ring compressor to put it back in if it did. So it's looking like this. So we got all of the rod caps and rod bearing out. The cap has its bearing here. These are the bearings from the rod itself. If you look, not too shabby, not too shabby. That little scratch right there was from the flathead because I couldn't fit my hands in there to get it out. But here's number 2, not too shabby, not too shabby. 3 rod, and 4. This one has a groove on it. I don't know if you can see it. It's on the left side. So the crank itself looks really good. Nothing to the fingernail, really nice and smooth, no crazy grooves. Wait, did that rhyme again? That did. But I'm gonna give it a light polishing, and I guess I'm gonna let it sit in this formation. I'm gonna do the shoestring style the way we did it on our cranks before, and I'm gonna be using 1000 grit, using WD-40 to help lubricate it. I am gonna stick a rag down there so we don't get like the shavings everywhere, although that's probably not going to shave it too much. It's just going to clean it up and get it ready for the new bearings. Now I know a lot of you guys will probably give me hella shit for doing it this way, but I'd rather do it this way than to not do it at all. So I know it's cheaper to do it in a machine shop, right? But the crank is still in the block, so I'm going to do it this way because I know it works. And I am going to start off with 1000 grit right here and WD-40. Trust me, it's WD-40, says it right there. And typically a shoelace, but I am using cotton-free shirt. Where'd it go? Right here, cotton-free shirt, and that's what I'm going to use to, you know, clean up the crank. I doused the paper with WD-40, right? And then I'm going to wrap the sandpaper around the journal that I am cleaning, right? It doesn't have to be this long, it just needs to be enough to go over, like lap each other. But it'll be a waste if I just cut off the extra like 2 inches or whatever. But wrap it on, and then you want to take a piece of cloth or shoestring in your case, wrap it on the crank twice. I don't remember how many times, but wrap it real quick. Get it nice and tension so the sandpaper is not like all loose on there, right? I'm gonna go ahead and put some more WD-40 on it. Pretty much I'm just gonna go back and forth, and I'm gonna count to like maybe 25-30 seconds, and then I'm gonna do the same in all the cylinders, you know, 25-30, and then we'll jump up the sandpaper. So simply, you know, with an even motion, not too fast, not too slow. What this does is it's moving the sandpaper, you know, all across the journal. Oh my god, I didn't even count. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. You can see it kind of cleaned it up. It's a much shinier material here versus over here. So if you look, nice and shiny. Now I'm not gonna polish it with like the mothers like I did my ITR crank. This would be perfectly fine, I guess. But what I'm gonna do right now is I am going to brake clean literally everything from the rod, the cylinders, whatever that may have gotten inside. Make sure I get it all out, but most importantly, making sure that these holes are nice and clean, so that way, you know, it's not gonna mess up the new rod bearings when they go in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this whole can, clean whatever I can. Make sure to get the rods. Want that to be nice and dry-ish. This is the part number for the bearing that I'm using. It is the ACL race bearing. This is standard size, and it says right here B18A, B18B. It also listed B20 because they're practically the same, except B20 is 84 mil block. Now these bearings, it's important to clean them before throwing them on. I'm just going to quickly go through all of this. I'm not sure why it's like all discolored like that. I've never seen it like this before. So on the rod caps, I just installed all of the new bearings, and obviously it only goes in one way because of the tang. The bearing has a tang. The tang is this little tab right here in the corner, and on the rod and the rod cap, there's only one side that has a tang, and the tang face the exhaust side. So right now, to put these into the rod itself, I have the rod kind of pulled all the way up as much as it can go, and let me show you guys. I make sure it's nice and dry. The piston should come up a little bit more. There it is. I'm gonna drop the bearing in, tang side. Actually, it doesn't even matter which side goes down first, but tang on tang side. I say this word so many damn times I don't know what it means anymore. And then what I do is, since it's in the block, the rod, I'll just take a flathead and flat it out against the rod journal itself. Make sure it's nice and flat on all ends. Now I'm not going to put any assembly lube on here yet because I'm going to check clearances first with a plastic gauge. Just washed my hand. I got some random cuts. I don't know where it came from, but just washed my hands for this process. So right here I have the connecting rod bearing page from the Integra Helms manual, and this is listed for the B18C1 and the B18B. So we're going to be doing the LS spec here. I'm doing the 2 center rods first because of like the position the crank was in with the rod and, you know, piston still being in the cylinder. So right now I'm going to do plastic gauge on the top of the journal, and then I'm going to put the caps on and then torque it down to, it says right here, torque it down to B18B 23 foot-pound. And then right here it says connecting rod bearing to journal oil clearance. Plastic gauge should read somewhere in the 0.0008 to 0.0015, and service limits is 0.0020. So hopefully we get somewhere in the you know, the specification and not the service limit. It's kind of confusing for me to read. This is a little different than the one that I got last time, but I guess I'm going to be using this side because we have the 0.001, 0.0015, 0.002, and 3. The bottom 2 right here is past service limits. The one that I'm trying to shoot for is a white one right here, 0.0015. Got to make sure that's nice and dry. Tang on the exhaust side. What was that? That was 3. $23 foot-pounds. This is rod number 3, and I'm going to check it. Can't really see it. GoPro is blurry up close, but it is like, I don't know, it's like a hair under 0015. Not what we're looking for. And then over here on number 2, same thing, a hair under 0015. Engine assembly lube. You can get this at like O'Reilly's or something. This is what we're going to use to lubricate the bearings before we torque it down one last time. Simple enough. I'm just going to go ahead and push this piston down a little bit. Same thing on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and just glop some of these on the bearing, the cap, and the rod side. Push it down a little bit more. There we go. Just a strip, not much. Yes, sir. Tang, exhaust. You got to remember that. Sometimes you forget, put it on backwards. I did that one time, had to correct myself. All right, number one. Make sure I got the right side here. We are, it's kind of hard to say. It looks like it's on the 150015. The clay freaking split between that and this. It looks to be at the very end of clearance, 0015. This side, number 4, same thing. If anything, 0016, but very close. I mean, if it's a little over, I mean, obviously there's nothing I can do other than getting oversized bearing, which I don't want to do, because then I'm going to cut the crank, and yeah, I'm not trying to do all that. So I think it'll be okay. Granted, it seemed to have ran before, didn't spin the bearing, and I guess we're going to send it. We're almost within spec, so I'm not sure if almost counts. So that pretty much sums it up for the bearing installation, guys. I'm no professional. I use Google, and I've done this before, and it worked. Done it the same way. Hopefully this turns out awesome. I want to show you guys this real quick. So all the bolts that I took off from the block, I threw it in here, and then I threw 2 pieces of Scotch-Brite with some purple powder, shook it around for like 5 minutes, and then washed it. So if you look, where's the oil at? Where you at? They gone, boy. Nice and fresh hardware. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Now, I am going to bolt the windage tray in. I'm still waiting for my package to show up. I got a new oil pan gasket, GSR time belt, water pump tensioner, just miscellaneous stuff for the block. So the pan is just going to sit on here, and the pickup is also just going to sit on there because I'm waiting for that gasket. But I'm going to bolt this sucker down, and then that's pretty much it for the block. I mean, there's nothing else that I can do to it other than waiting for everything else to come in. The VTEC conversion kit is going to come on Tuesday, which is 2 days from now. Tomorrow I'll drop the cylinder head off at the machine shop, and yeah, I don't think there's much else I can do tonight in this video. So obviously, if you guys watch it from beginning to now, we are doing an LS VTEC, keeping it super basic with the car. LS VTEC, something very simple, not too much break in the pocket, you know what I mean? That's a junkyard head, that's a junkyard block, got some small parts here and there coming in from Rock Auto, you know what I mean? So we'll talk more about it when we assemble the block, married to the head. But as far as this video goes, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm super pumped to be at the engine part of the build. I was really just trying to knock out the engine bay so I can get to this point, because putting everything back together and then obviously turning the car on for the first time is always the greatest feeling, and I kind of want to get to that point, you know what I mean? This build is going to go by really quickly. Parts are flying in, and again, I'm excited to put this thing back together. It's looking freaking awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for the LS VTEC conversion when we put this long block together, be sure to hit the subscribe button, because that's going to come real soon. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.